Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another installment of Tillster Tidbits. We have a very special guest here today. We've got Chris Elder, who's our inside of, our head of inside sales here at Tillster. Chris, it's great to have you.
Great to
Um,
be here.
I would say let's just give you a chance to open up the mic, give you a little bit of bio about yourself. Unfortunately, we're not going to be talking LA Dodgers today. This is not the Tilster Sports Network installment that will be coming next week. But yeah, just would love to know a little bit more about you.
Yeah, absolutely. So happy to talk sports with anyone out there, whether it's LA Dodgers or even if it's, unfortunately the Chicago White Sox, like Jacob has to support. But, big sports fan. That's actually where this all began. My career was in sports technology. I was selling point of sale technology to stadiums and arenas, as well as building out their mobile tickets back in the day when we typically used face value of paper tickets to get into the games, and it was a great time. Really was able to check off I think 20 out of 32 different stadiums in my tour there. Have since transitioned over to the technology space in restaurants. Began with a company that was selling point of sale to a lot of the smaller end mom and pop locations that really needed something that could help them with their takeout orders and facilitating to guests outside of the four walls. And now I've been with Tillster for almost 2 years now, helping provide more enterprise level QSR brands across the world with a whole litany of products. From self-service kiosks that are very popular out in Europe and Asia Pacific. I've always been really just fascinated with providing guests with the latest and greatest in technology.
Fantastic. Well, we'll talk. We'll take it offline about the whole divisional and World Series talk. But today we're gonna have a different conversation. We're gonna be talking about restaurant trends. So I'm glad you kind of gave me the segue. Specifically, trends that we're seeing either more of or we're anticipating to develop heading into 2023. So we figured, and we're having a lot of discussions with brands that are encountering either these challenges or these top of mind topics. So I think it's going to be very beneficial to at least get your take on it, and would love to just hear what you're hearing from both our existing customers as well as prospects. So, but before we do that, I think it's worth kind of level setting. We were talking before we came on here. 2021 was obviously very much a year of recovery and almost survival, if you will, for a lot of brands. But I would love to get your perspective on how maybe 2022 has gone for restaurant brands. Both, I know you work with small, medium, and large, and how they've been able to kind of tackle some of the challenges, and what are some of the things that they've been able to maybe do this year that years prior they haven't.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the questions that I like to ask people, prospects, current clients, technology vendors, is, when you approach your guests, do you know who your favorite customer is? And what I mean by that is, do you really understand from a holistic standpoint how your DoorDash customer is different from your mobile app user, from your walk-in guests? And then how does that range from maybe someone that's ordering off of a website in Nebraska versus coming in through a drive-through in California, or ordering from one of the delivery apps in New York, Manhattan. Obviously, within each of these regions, you're going to find various trends that differentiate by user, by location. And so I think that it's really important to fully understand your entire digital ecosystem. One of the things that we like to discuss here at Tillster is providing a CDP layer. And what that is a customer data platform that helps you to really see the entire customer journey from how they discovered your brand, and then what brought them in to join the loyalty program, to order off of your website, to start building up coupons or downloading the mobile app, or what leveled you up to be an avid user of the brand. And so with our programs here, we're able to really differentiate our customers and see what caused them to be an avid user, what may have funneled them out, maybe some guests that put items into their cart and that did never actually completed the checkout. So just key metrics like this really help you understand who these customers are and who you should be focusing on. In addition, we find also that uncovering trends and seeing maybe which items on the menu are popular in areas and why they're not popular in other regions. Maybe providing an LTO in a certain region that is also done well in another one. Finding out ways to target age ranges. So leveraging places obviously like TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, maybe Be Real, whatever we can leverage to really promote the brand to these different age ranges and really get excitement around them. So again, I think fully understanding that you have tons of different guests and tons of different customers and different ones by channel. And it's really important to make sure that you're leveraging each channel appropriately and you're not just mass blasting out email campaigns that are targeting each of your people, because the last thing a person who's vegan wants to see is a picture of a burger.
Right. No, I think that's really well said. I think your point about it's almost like the self evaluation of your digital stack is super important, and we've seen more and more brands kind of take that up, where the digital adoption has been forced upon many of these brands just because in the wake of the pandemic, right? And so
Right.
now I think 2022 has really forced brands to think about, okay, I know I have to be digital. I understand that, but what digital is right for me, and what, to your point, what digital is right for my guests, and how do I leverage that tech to
Yeah.
better understand my guests, all of that fun stuff. In which I think this is a perfect transition into the first trend that we're kind of seeing. We'll get them back on the screen.
Sorry about
No,
that.
you're fine.
Technology problems
Um,
here.
you're good. Um, the first one we're seeing, and it's I think the obvious, but we have to call it out, is the labor shortage and how restaurant brands are trying to better manage and overcome the staffing shortage with technology. So I would love to know from you what specific maybe solutions or strategies are brands looking and evaluating to maybe offset. I mean, we're still over 750,000 personnel that is still lost, that hasn't come back to the industry. So it's a significant amount of people. So what type of solutions, technology are brands currently evaluating and maybe even adopting to overcome this?
Yeah, great question. And I think that you're absolutely right. I think that we've seen the industry is down almost a million personnel since July of 2022. And brands are really struggling right now to hire personnel, to keep them, to motivate them. And, what they're doing is they're trying to find ways to replace some of that shortage, whether it's bringing in robotic technology that can go and clean up and bus tables, because that's an area which makes obviously a huge difference in replacing people. But I think kiosks, from an ordering technology standpoint, are a huge thing that we've seen in the QSR space. When you're walking to your favorite restaurant and you see a line out the door, the first thing you think is, oh, wow, maybe I should go somewhere else. Maybe I should go across the street. But if there's a standalone kiosk right there that you can walk right up to, place the order, it'll tell you how long and where you are in the queue, which table to go to. Well, it just makes the transaction seamless, and it's going to help. And these brands aren't going to lose as many customers as they might, who drive by and see that the drive-through line's too long, the guests line is too long, or whatever it might be. So it's another way to help increase efficiencies from labor shortage that have maybe caused a longer line, or if it's just a popularity thing. And there's a really popular brand like obviously the chicken sandwich war is going on right now. Everyone's trying to get a chicken sandwich, and whenever I go on my lunch break to go down the street to one of my favorite ones down here, the drive-through line is out the street around the corner, and it's much easier for me to kind of go up and walk to one of the kiosks, tap it in, and have it picked up at a specific locker or a cubby, or to a table that I can go and eat at with my friends. So I think that having kiosks in place are a great sort of remedy to help out with the labor shortage. I think that also being able to provide QR codes at tables, allowing for our customers to place an order and complete it. One of the unique trends bringing back to sports is oftentimes we'll go to a Dave and Buster's or Buffalo Wild Wings before a game, and you want to grab some beers with some friends before you go in and watch your favorite team play. But the challenge is it's tough to get a waiter or waitress's attention. So having those QR codes at tables for more of those sort of fast casual sit down spots makes it easier to start the order process. Once the server comes to your table, you can actually complete it with the Tillster's technologies right then and there. So you're not having to kind of close out from where you were with scanning the QR code and start a new one with the server, you can just continue it on as it's all firing off into the same check into the KDS system in the back. So again, I think having the blend of kiosks there in store for some of the fast food and QSR brands and some of the fast casual ones that have input the QR code just make it a much more efficient process, and it makes it feel like the customer is being attended to even if they aren't physically being attended to by a server.
Let's transition to the next one, because I think kiosk, again, with it being an offering that a lot of restaurant brands are now, I think now more than ever, probably considering whether it's right or not for their brand. The second trend we're kind of seeing is diversifying and increasing the revenue stream, right? So we've obviously seen with COVID that many brands, whether they were on it before or not, third party marketplace obviously soared, saw a big influx there, and obviously that's not going away. But what are some of the tactics that you're seeing brands adopt and utilize to again, maintain healthy margin, and not just raising price, right? We understand that the cost of goods have obviously gone up, and we're still seeing a lot of supply chain issues with products and things like that. But what are some of those other strategies that you're seeing from brands starting to adopt and implement for their restaurants?
Yeah, no, great question. I think it's having the omnichannel approach, and obviously that's a no-brainer. Everyone's transitioned over to that by this point. But I think that being able to connect your in-house four walls experience with digital, with loyalty, with kind of a rewards program, and being able to again leverage that data and using an RFM analysis, I think is really important to understanding this. And what that is it's a recency, frequency, and monetary value understanding of your guests and your promotions. So you know which promotions are affecting your guests most appropriately and most cost effectively, and then using that to maybe roll out if it's a virtual brand that you want to try and explore somewhere, or doing something with gas convenience. I think that it's finding ways to roll out your concepts to a wider market and a wider range of people. We've had some conversations, and we're working in the gas and convenience space here in North America for a lot of these brands that are wanting to allow a customer to go onto their app, go into their website, or walk in and place an order for one of their brands if they have maybe a taco concept or a pizza concept. And then while that's in the cart, being able to upsell them on one of the items that are there in their convenience section. So if I'm placing an order for a taco and pizza and a sandwich, as I'm in the cart stage, it's going to ask, would you like to order a 12 pack of Coors Light? Or would you like to, get some, paper towels for the house, whatever it might be. It's something that you're not necessarily thinking about when you're ordering tacos and pizza, but it would pair nicely with it as you're going back home to the family to bring home dinner. So little things like that really help to increase your average check size and bring a lot of these brands as sort of a licensed option to the gas and convenience space, and work with them on having a virtual concept or promoting it out there. But again, that's sort of a pie in the sky idea. I'll kind of bring it back down to your initial question, which I think really is understanding the guest and understanding what's working for your brand. So leveraging customer data across each of the digital channels to know what's working, to know how you can maybe excite and get customers back to the brand, finding out how it's taking a guest from a once a month user to become a once a week user to becoming multiple times a week user, and I think that's really the crucial aspect of leveraging that data.
Yeah, and with not only the omni-channel piece, but I think what you're also talking about is kind of that personalization aspect as well,
Right.
right? With the data, so it's understanding, like to your point about you wouldn't think that a pizza or a taco would pair nicely with a case of beer and then paper towels, at first thought, but then it's if you have the data to back up the specific offers or upsells or cross-sell recommendation, any of that stuff, right? To start to tailor those offers and messaging. We definitely have seen more of that as well. So I find that very interesting, especially in the gas and convenience space, where it's like theoretically I could walk into Quick Trip is huge in the Midwest, and it's like
Yeah.
I get I don't know, maybe theoretically get a Culver's burger while I'm there. Who knows? That's pretty mind blowing to think about.
The
So
future is now.
the future
Bring
is
it
now,
on.
absolutely. So then, obviously, with with the strategies and looking to drive more orders, more revenue, more customers. managing all of that, right? From the orders themselves for prep and pickup for the guests, and then I mean, that's not even taking into consideration third party marketplace. Managing these order flows has to be, I would consider, right, a big topic for a lot of these restaurant brands. How are they looking to maybe manage those better? They've obviously, a lot of brands have seen an influx due to third party, but there's other now factors to consider. So what are you seeing from like a menu and order flow management perspective for what, either restaurant brands are dealing with, or maybe what they're considering trend wise to do in 2023?
Yeah, great question. This is the most crucial question that I've asked guests, and I've heard feedback on from a number of brands that are a high performing digital brand. Really want to kind of figure out a way to control how they're promoting brands on third party channels versus focusing on their walk in guests. And what I mean by that is, if you're having your lunch rush from 12 noon to 2 p.m., you really want to focus on your walk-in customers, because those are your customers that are your most frequent users. Those are kind of your brand loyalists versus someone off of a DoorDash or Postmates or Uber who may have just discovered you. So there has to be a way to maybe pause the third-party channels or throttle it. So, that you can only handle 15 orders within a 15-minute increment. Otherwise, you need to really focus on your customers that are there during that 12 to 2 lunch rush. So with Tillster's latest technology, we actually allow for that throttling mechanism to be in place to help these brands that are sort of upticking in their third-party channels to be able to pause it and let the customer sort of know, hey, please come to our website, place an order, or please come to the store to place it for the time being. So it just shuts it down for that sort of threshold to focus on guests and sort of rotates the, if you would, third-party guests to become a more avid, loyal user on their website or their mobile app. With Tillster and with our technology, we allow for these brands to adjust the quote time to the customer, and then also make sure that they're focusing on those guests that are coming in store.
Yeah, and all of that goes to, again, in making sure that the guest experience is the best that it possibly can be, right? Because
Right.
I know I'm one of those folks too, where I mean, it can be just that single experience that's going to turn me off, right? So for a lot of these brands, especially now with consumers being able to evaluate and like, oh, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that. Like, you have to be on your game. So
Yeah.
it can be a make or break for that one experience. So with all of that, it's a great segue into our next point, is that demand to convert those let's just take that DoorDash or that Uber Eats consumer, converting them to your direct or organic one-to-one customer, right? And we hear this all the time about I don't own my customers, right? We hear the sentiment a lot. So they've started to realize that they need to transition and start to evaluate how they can drive more acquisition amongst those third party guests. And I know data is a big piece to that, but how are brands starting to take action, and maybe what are the things that they're looking to do or already doing to start to convert those third party guests to their direct, one-to-one customers?
I think it's really important to kind of convert a guest like me to be a user of the website and not sort of get fooled on one of those third-party channels and be building up my points on the third-party channels. So one of the things that we do is we provide order throttling on our third-party marketplace channels that allows for the brands to, maybe when they see an influx of customers coming in, they can kind of shut it off and say, hey, thanks, place an order on our website if you want to order this item. Or maybe run LTOs, limited time offers for certain products, and see if that's really been strong fit, and they're able to actually adjust the pricing item by item on DoorDash, and so they know that that specific item is going to sell for $5 more on DoorDash. And then also, I think, real time 86ing items. So when you see that there's maybe only 100 chicken sandwiches that are available, and you're getting maybe 75, 80 orders on DoorDash, you're able to actually 86 it on DoorDash and say, hey, but it's available still on our website, or if you download our mobile app, you can still place the order. So little things like that kind of bring awareness to the customer, and kind of nudge them off of those third-party channels and onto your native sites is what we've worked with. So again, I think it's just finding what works for you as a brand, trying and testing things out with those limited time offers, being able to pause the third party channels, throttle guests off of them onto your brand, and then just kind of bringing awareness through promotions and spreading awareness maybe with your most prevalent customers, saying, hey, give this code to 5 of your friends. The fifth person that uses this code, you get a free chicken sandwich on us. And just little things like that, where you can really have your best customers doing the marketing and doing kind of that grassroots campaigning for you.
Yeah. Well, and it goes back to, you'd mentioned it earlier before, where the brands, they see the value in starting to own more of that digital experience, right? And relying less upon the third party, because they realize that they want to control the messaging, they want to control how their brand feels and looks, and how the guest experiences it, right? And I think we've talked about this extensively, and so we're going to hit on it again, is the concept of personalization is top of mind more than ever now. What are some of maybe the tools that restaurant brands are looking at to kind of get started with personalization, right? Like what are the tech things that are going to enable them to deliver a more personalized guest experience when they visit their brand?
Yeah, I think it's going back to what we discussed earlier and having that CDP equipped ordering solution in place, and providing for that customer data so that you can really understand how the customer across location one is performing against location two, and then building out some loyalty campaigns that really kind of distinguish those different levels for a guest to get up to. There's really a big challenge I see with brands that are dealing with sort of disparate tech stacks, and they're trying to find customer data off of their loyalty vendor and bring it in with their mobile app vendor and bring it in with their text messaging vendor and then bring it in with their drive-through AI connection vendor. So it's definitely a challenge when you have all of these different systems talking together and trying to really pull customer data from these different channels. And so what we like to do is, in providing our operations command center, it actually helps to allow these guests to understand each of these guests across channels and make it more seamless in terms of pulling in their data, being able to sort of slice and dice it. And one of the great tools that we have is our segment campaign tool, and it puts these guests into certain segments, and then you can create automated sort of touch points to those guests on a 10-day or a 15-day or a 30-day campaign that's going to make sure that each of those guests that have sort of like-minded ordering strategies, like-minded items they like to purchase, are all kind of being sent similar material, because again, all comes back to personalization, and we want to make sure that we're leveraging the customer data to have a personalized outreach and campaign.
Well said. And you just touched on one item that I think we have to talk about, is the drive-through, right?
Yeah.
So for DriveThru Tech, okay, what type of innovations in 2023 can we expect to see, either new or more of?
Yeah, and I encourage you to take a look at the Burger King Whopper Detour. So what that was it was a drive-through sort of mobile app technology that any Burger King user with the mobile app, once they broke a geofenced plane of one of the competitors to Burger King, it would actually send them a digital coupon saying, "Hey, come back to Burger King." It's incentivizing them to leave the drive-through line of a competitor and come back over to Burger King with that coupon. So that was actually incredibly successful in boosting mobile app downloads. People were telling their friends, saying, "Hey, I just got this notification. Every time I go to a fast food spot, I'm getting a free Burger King coupon." So it spread the word for that longevity of the campaign. But I think doing things with geofencing technology is really the future. It personalizes the experience. It allows for the customer to understand, like, hey, we're understanding you. We're with you. We want to provide you with the best experience, things like that. Just really understanding the guest and kind of knowing and bringing them back to their comfort level in a way that sort of makes you feel like you're coming back to a family meal, if you will. When we go back for our meals with our families, albeit in Thanksgiving break or the holiday break, you love having that sort of familial experience. Your exact side dish that is prepared by your mom or grandma. And so that's kind of how these brands want to make it for their customers. They want to make it a familial experience where it's much more personalized to you and your past order history, suggestively upselling you while you're waiting in the drive-through line, and just kind of finding ways to make it a much more efficient process. Last thing I'll mention too is curbside pickup, which is obviously huge for a lot of these brands in being able to tell them right again from the app, your order is ready in 15 minutes, and then being able to adjust it. Hey, actually it's really ready in 10 minutes, or unfortunately it's ready in 20. When you arrive, it'll know based on the car that you've saved in there. And once you've broken that geo plane, it'll say, hey, pull up to lot A, parking spot 4. And so you know exactly where to go. The runner will be informed via the KDS that you've arrived, and they'll run it out to you, and it just makes it much more efficient. I think that it's something that we've become used to now during the pandemic, and it's definitely going to continue for the near term.
Yeah, I first of all, the answer to your question is always yes. Upsize, supersize me always. But no,
Oh yeah,
the geofencing piece is one that I'm super interested in and excited about. Just to your point, where it's the more family type of experience, but also making sure that it's seamless, right? And because you're also looking at it from a business point of view, right? There's the efficiency of it. So I'm really looking to see more of the geofencing adoption heading into next year. So last but not least, so we've talked, about data, about CDP. We understand, and we just had a digital dish episode dedicated towards it. But I mean,
that's
we
right.
want to call it out more because again, there's the expectation amongst consumers for a more personalized experience, which all comes back to the data piece, right? And as you've mentioned with the CDP for across your applications, it's huge. And in even looking at more, call it experimental or more new technology for the QSR and fast casual with AI and machine learning, right? How is the role of data going to be super important, or how is it just going to be viewed heading into 2023?
Yeah, data is incredibly valuable. A little sort of plug for Tillster again is we invest a ton into our research and development. Tillster's been around for 15 plus years now. And, we definitely focused, if you will, on sort of the larger QSR brands, working still now with Burger King across the world in 16 different markets, working with Inspire brands and some of their concepts. And so we've started to scale down from those larger brands and sort of providing the more emerging concepts with similar technology. And so I think that AI, machine learning recommendations, showing what's trending now, what's hot now, finding a way to kind of build into your data schema and understand the customer from sort of a user ID to what they've ordered in the past. And I think that oftentimes we've seen with our competitors, and we've heard from some of our brands that have joined us recently, is that it's challenging when you have a templated solution that really doesn't provide that same branded look and feel. That there's no way to have a similar experience for a mobile app user, as a website user, as a walk-in guest, because there's this templated website ordering, and then a whole different maybe agency layered on top mobile app experience. And then when you go to the restaurant, there's a different kiosk and a different touchscreen iPad, or just a whole different experience. And so you kind of lose the guest there because it's not synonymous with your brand. They don't have that same happiness, if you will, when they come to your restaurant as they do go into your website to place the order. It doesn't store their history, it doesn't remember their order, it doesn't know the specific location they like to go to. And so little things like this, I think, really kind of keep the customer into that sort of frame, and allows the brand to really understand who they are, and what they've ordered in the past, what time of day they like to order at, and then kind of build off of those factors. So I think that tying it all together is, Tillster as a whole has really learned from our 15 years experience and working with these brands globally to really scale down and provide it for the emerging concepts that also want to leverage this technology for their customers.
I think that's all very well said. Chris, I want to thank you for coming on. Again, we want to thank everyone for tuning in, and hopefully with us touching on some of these restaurant trends that we're seeing now and will continue to evolve into next year, that this resonates with you. And of course, if you have questions, please reach out. You can visit our website, tillster.com. You'll probably be passed to Mr. Chris over here firsthand, who can answer any and all your questions. But Chris, thank you for coming on. I'm sure we'll have you back, and thank you everyone for tuning in. We appreciate it.
Thank you.